All right, the Bengals and Dolphins preview coming up next, and of course, some crazy comments made about Joe Burrow coming up next on the Cincinnati podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Exciting time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation? These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time, man. Yeah. Shock the world.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm your host, Ace Boogie. Here's my co-host, Zim. Who Day? Zim, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much, man. I feel like a lot of craziness has happened today, or just a lot of weird headlines and stuff. And I've got a bit of a headache. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this stuff just comes out and it just puts me at like, But look, I was telling you, because Ace, I know you're like taking a leave of absence from Spaces World, where I feel like there's
I'm on
always
vacation.
it's like an everlasting, like, oh my God. But there's a whole world of people that don't know about the 2005 Bengals, bro. Like, I'm here to tell you. These same guys that are telling us that they know ball and stuff, I say our wide receivers were just as good as 2005. You know, like, these are really good wide receivers and stuff. They were like, who? I was like, what? And there's a whole world of people, like, they started talking about injuries, and I was like, so y'all don't even know that Carson Palmer. So you got to think those guys are like 20-something. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them have vague memories about the Bengals. And I was like, no wonder this is not computing that we don't care about your injuries. And I thought about like some of the stuff that we say on the show or whatever. But like, I think if you're a Bengals fan, like, injuries are a thing. That's a part of our team. For some of these teams, I feel like maybe that's brand new to them and they're not understanding like the severance of like some of the like the ramifications of getting your Pro Bowl quarterback's leg.
They know what it is they just want to be in denial. They just know that the Bengals have a really good team. Joe Burrow's a really good quarterback. So whatever makes them feel safe, or they have to look for something for them to feel like they have a chance against this offense now that it has an offensive line, that's what they're grasping for, because people know about injuries and stuff like that, but then they use it as an excuse whenever things get out of hand and use it as an excuse for why they lost to the Bengals. So you'll hear a lot of that for sure. But like you said, you hit the nail on the head. A lot of these kids weren't of age to watch football in 2005. So they know Ocho Cinco as like a Twitter personality. They don't even know how good he was in football and stuff like that. And you kind of see that too in the NBA when it comes to guys like Kenny the Jet Smith, who was just in the Hustle NBA movie. But most of those people, Charles Barkley, most kids that are watching them, they think that they were just like TV personalities their whole life. Even Shannon Sharp is another one where people know him more from like TV than other than that. But yeah, we got a great show tonight. Speaking of TV and YouTube and all of that, Shady McCoy made some wild comments about Joe Shiesty. So we're going to definitely get into that, give our take on it. And then right before the show, Larry Ogunjobi ended up signing with the Squealers. I am still in recovery mode over that. And of course, we're going to continue with our schedule breakdown and we're going to preview the Dolphins. All this, stick around because we got a lot coming up on the show.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
All right, Zim. Larry Ogunjobi signs a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This doesn't come as a shock to me because Stephon Tuitt just retired, so they needed to get someone there. And I hated this because I know when the Steelers get a person in the building, they don't let them leave without a contract. And I knew that there was going to be a full court press on this. The only thing that upset me about this is we will probably never know unless you know how close the Bengals actually were to bringing him back, right? There was a lot of things that we talked about where they left the jersey open for him. It seemed like there was a possibility early on in the process after the I believe Jets deal fell through, or not the Jets deal, but the Bears deal fell through. They talked to him. He went on a visit with the Jets. He goes to Pittsburgh, signs a contract. What does this mean to you?
I mean, first and foremost, I want to say, like, man, I think I want to give a huge shout out to Larry O, and I'm glad that he got a contract, right? And I'm glad he's moving forward with his career because a lot of players in this league haven't been fortunate enough to land on their feet in a lot of rough situations, or they end up in bad situations. So I think part of like one of my messages that I've been telling Bengals fans, just because a player doesn't play for your team anymore doesn't give us like this leeway to just like crap on the guy or whatever. Because to me, once who they, always who they, right? That's how I roll, right? Except for James Harrison, you were never who they. All right. So on top of that, I just want to say that I think that if they use him correctly, they'll find out like he's a solid piece. I just think that Steelers were in an emergency situation to save face. And this is a conversation that me and you have had. They're never going to go under. They're never going to lose so many games that they get a top 5, top 10 pick. The only fear I think that a Bengals fan has from the Steelers is that eventually some quarterback that has no business hitting the open market hits the open market, and then they get their hands on him. Like, you know, like maybe they make a trade for Deshaun Watson, because as long as we live, they're always just going to win 8, 9, 10, whatever games, whatever, right? But I don't think it really moves the needle. It just gives them a piece that says, hey, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we have a legitimate defensive line so that we don't look completely stupid like we did last year with one of the worst run defenses in all of football. For all the credit that all y'all gave these guys all off season, there's nobody watching this show right now that could tell me their defensive lineman outside of Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. And Cam Hayward at 32 years old. Tyson Alawalu or whatever the hell his name is, and other guys like that. I forgot the other. There's and I like the draft Lyle or whatever.
Right.
I thought he was a good pick.
Yeah,
the Marvin Lil, right? But they needed an Ogunjobi piece to make sure that they, you know, solidified the defensive line, period. And that's a perfect fit in my eyes, because they are the one team that I think, because of Tua's retirement, they had the bag to give him. Remember, the Bengals gave the bag to BJ Hill. So now that Larry O came back with a 1 year, I imagine, I'm just speculating, I imagine the Bengals probably saying 3-4 mils, something like that. The Steelers 100%. I think Stephon Tuitt, somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, is probably around 11 mil or something like that, I think. They probably had the power right now when the details of the contract come out. I'm speculating. I believe it's going to be like a 1 year, $8 million deal with incentives. There's no suitor out here right now that could pay him that type of money. So I'm happy for Larry to get his money, but he's got to go prove it again. I don't think it moves the needle. I know the Steelers fans are very excited. And don't y'all think it's funny that y'all watching this right now? They told us our defensive line is mid, right? They said that we're not that great. But check out how they're going to talk about Larry Ogunjobi now. They're going to talk about how great he is when we see him on TV and the Steelers' vaunted defensive line. Look at the plateau that he'll be on now that he's in black and yellow. I just want everybody to pay attention to that propaganda.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's going to be definitely a shout out to him, especially with the thing that happened with the surgery and him feeling the physical. I'm just glad that he's able to suit it up for any team, even if it is in black and yellow. Definitely won't be excited to see him across from us on this side, but he will be going against someone that he has not played with in Ted Karras, so that'll be an interesting matchup. But also there were some LeSean McCoy comments on the I Am Athlete podcast. He says, Joe Burrow, Kenny Pickett, I can't see the difference. That was a wild statement, my boy. I mean, for me, you kind of saw, and if you aren't following on Twitter, Zim actually tweeted this earlier, or retweeted it from the Wincy Pod Twitter account. So I think if you follow him at Zim Hude, you'll see it on there. But you can actually see, even in that video, that Chase Claypool he made a funny facial expression like, what? Like, nah, it's definitely a difference. And that is his quarterback. It's definitely a difference for sure. I don't know what LeSean's prerogative was with saying something like that. I mean, I could see if you could compare them and say that they're similar, but saying that you can't see a difference between Joe Burrow and Kenny Pickett is insane. I don't know where he got that from. I mean, especially after the year that Joe Burrow had coming off of an injury. I mean, what we saw him do in college, I don't understand what LeSean is thinking. That was kind of a casual statement from an NFL player, a former NFL player who I respect. Shady's one of my favorite players, but that was wild. Zim, what do you think about his comments on that?
If people have been following Shady for a while, he hasn't ran away from like hot topic type headline quotes like this before. He's done this before. He did it a couple times with the Chiefs and they didn't like it. Eventually canned him and stuff. But I just think that that's a guy. I'm gonna tell y'all who else is a real big Kenny Pickett fan, the biggest Kenny Pickett fan I know. His name is Tyler Boyd, right? they all have one thing in common. They're just cheering for their alma mater. And I just think that sometimes people
true. He did go to Pitt. That's true.
So I just think that sometimes like people are like that about Claypool. I noticed and I'm not trying to call you out, Diddy, but Diddy, one of my favorite Bengals fans, was taking up for Claypool. If I asked him who's his favorite college team, I bet you say Notre Dame. You know, Bengals Maniac is a big Notre Dame fan. If y'all can relay a message to her, we're talking about Claypool as well. But back on subject, sometimes guys get really engulfed in their alma mater, and then they'll start to say things because they really want those guys to win, you know, much like we do with our fandom with the Bengals, whatever. So I don't fault them for that, but I think it's a little bit disingenuous to the game of football. Not even if you thought Kenny Pickett was better, like saying that you don't see a difference between a guy that just came back from a Super Bowl Rookie of the Year versus a guy that's never taken a snap. I just think that's the real wow part of it. I mean, we hear wilder stuff every day, I think, to a conversation, all that stuff that we hear every day. I think there's some wild takes out there, but it all stems from people being passionate about something nostalgic about a person or what they mean to their lives, I think. And I think Shady is just, I'm praying that he's not
Shady,
doing
that was a wild one.
It's got something to do with his alma mater and not drugs.
Wilder than Devontae Davis retiring at halftime. That was wild. But yeah, I was kind of confused on that one. But the next thing was we heard another crazy comment by Chase Claypool, which you kind of alluded to. He considers himself a top 3 receiver. I don't think he's a top 3 receiver in the AFC North, respectfully. But a top 3 receiver in the NFL, and he hasn't even had 1,000 yards yet. Is he even better than T. Higgins? Is what I'm thinking. Like, he's not better than T. Higgins. He's not better than Deontay Johnson. He might not even be better than Pickens, who's the rookie there. Chase Claypool is a guy. He's a big. They like to call him Mapletron, right? They talk like he's like Calvin Johnson, but he's not. He's one of those receivers. He's super big. But when you throw it up, throw it up, he's not going to get it. Like he tries to play like he's a little guy. They call him Mapletron. Mapletron.
Who started that? Oh, he's from Toronto or something?
He's from Canada. But no, he does not play like that. He plays like a small receiver. He's not one of those guys that's going to go up and attack the ball, which is why they're moving him to the slot. He's not a top 3 receiver, but I understand where he's coming from. Because you got to think in your head, if you're a wide receiver in this league, you got to think that you're top 3. You got to think that you're number 1. I hope that's where he was coming from. But yeah, nah, bro. I mean, if I'm being objective, I don't even know if he's top 23, if I'm being 100.
This is a long off season because I just feel like right now we're bored or somebody's bored because I get the confidence part too. But bro, touch grass, like for real, like stop, like 750 yards later, like you're like it's just not. I don't get it. Like you don't even gotta be saying the Bengals are top 10 or anything like that. Just at least show me like say legitimate stuff. Like I believe I could be top 3 or like you gotta have self-awareness with some of this stuff. Like I love confidence, but you gotta have self-awareness because it just comes across like really, really stupid. And right now, I just think that's stupid for a guy that just makes all of his living in the NFL off of pushing off and running go routes and never ran a damn route in his whole entire tenure in the NFL. And they just drafted your replacement for Deontay Johnson and Claypool because they don't play wide receivers. And you're telling us you're top 3 and they just drafted your replacements, bro. Like, touch grass for real. Like Pickens is coming for your spot. They don't want to pay you. I feel like he's got a lot of pressure on his mind or whatever. Like maybe the TikTok life is overlapping like stuff, and he's having conversations with his inside his head, and he's just like, bro, I'm top 3 TikTokers, and I'm top 3 on the football field, and I could dance with the best wide receivers in the league. And me and Juju, when we're on, we're the best on TikTok. And then he's trying to translate that to football or something. Because I think he's confused.
I think Claypool is a hell of a talent, but top 3, nah, my boy. Like I said, I get it, but nah. He might have been top 3 on the Steelers last year. That's about it. But next, we have some breaking news from the NFL on Deshaun Watson. Not really super breaking news, but he decided to settle 20 of the 24 lawsuits, and the NFL says that will have no bearing on the disciplinary process. It's been rumored that some people think that it could be a year or something like that. I'm not really sure how this affects the Bengals until it's official. Like, I don't think that this will really settle anything. I think the NFL is going to do what they originally were going to do despite of this, which I agree with. And so hopefully we get some news on this soon. I mean, obviously it dramatically changes, at least for me, like the level of what the Browns can compete at in the division. Like if you're out there with Jacoby Brissett, this is a guy that has a career winning percentage of about 50% of his games. So whatever games you put him out there for, he's probably only winning 50% of them. And then you're in a conference that we just showed last week previewing the top 10 quarterbacks in this. I don't even know if he's in the top 20 to be 100. But honestly, well, I guess that would be way too many teams. But yeah, he's not in that top 10 at all. But if Deshaun Watson does play, it's dramatically a different team. But it just seems more and more likely that he will not be playing. Zim, do you have any thoughts on Deshaun Watson in this latest development?
You was about to call him Deshaun Cosby, weren't you?
I was going to call him Deshaun Cosby.
Hey, did y'all catch that? He was about to slip out of Cosby, but
I was gonna get some pudding and play for the Browns and put my jersey on. Blah.
Bruh. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I need to hang out with you more because maybe this football stuff, like I'm just so tired of talking about this dude. With all respect to all the victims and everything like that, Thanks. You know, like I don't want to take away from that, but like I'm so tired of hearing about a guy that's not going to play or a guy that's going to miss a substantial amount of games and stuff. And I'm a little mentally worn out from hearing all of that crap with him too. Like this is a crazy news feed that we got coming in here today. Like if y'all can't tell, I'm just almost flabbergasted a lot of stuff because it's like it's so many people that are taking up for him. And they'll try to correct you on the specifics and stuff. And in my mind, I'm just like, bro, one case is too many. Like we live in a world where one case is too many. Like if I get one case on me, like I'm living with that for the rest of my life. There are consequences to be paid. There's different things that happen, and I just don't see how people are letting their fandom like override like right from wrong to me. Like wrong is like right is right, wrong is wrong. I said the same thing with Jackson Carman. Like if that came out and that was legitimate or whatever, I wouldn't want him on my team. Like I'm not that obsessive like to winning, bro. Like right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't know. I just kind of lost sympathy for this dude a little bit. I don't know.
I had to get a massage this past weekend for Father's Day, and it was just weird. It was just like, what is going on?
The whole time that this other massage therapist was like, so what you think about Deshaun case? And the massage therapist was like, so what you think about Deshaun? He's like, hold on, let me get up. Let me get out of here. Right. You can't even get a massage these days. Thanks, Deshaun.
You can't. Thanks, Deshaun. Appreciate that. But yeah, shout out to the victims. I hope that everything gets righted in the end. But Zam, we're gonna go to a friend of the show, Pierce Dental Group, with a word on the Wincinnati podcast.
Oh, to me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I thought you were about to play something.
Nah, we don't have a commercial yet, but we will be getting one potentially soon.
I thought we were going to run it. All right, well, I just want to tell everybody, listen, I've been talking about it the last couple of weeks on here, but I think you guys, I've talked about it a bunch of times where I feel as though your smile is very important to like who you are, how you present yourself to people. When I met this guy, Dr. Troy Pierce, I saw a lot of the players whose teeth he's done and everything like that, and I just thought like everybody's smile was like amazing. I had to figure out who did this because I wanted to get the work done myself. I immediately did a virtual consultation, and I'm proud to say I'm going to get some ice put in my teeth soon. But Dr. Pierce is going to get me straight. You don't have to get ice, but on top of that, I just feel like it's a free consultation, no risk, no money, anything like that. Work with them, coolest doctor in the world. Hit those guys up at Pierce Dental Group. Find them on Twitter too. And I think you'll just look up Dr. Pierce on there or whatever. But on there, they're located downtown at Fountain Square if you are in the Cincinnati area. but they will take care of you. The office is really nice. I love all the people there. And yeah, I'm about to get a really, really nice set of teeth. But all the Bengals, they got theirs too. And I just think it's really dope. If you're figuring out another way to get connected to the Bengals, another way to just get enhanced smile, this is the place to go. I really like them. We don't work with anybody that we don't like. And I really like them a lot. And I think they're really dope. So I think you guys need to check them out.
And if you guys are watching on YouTube, please be sure to hit that subscribe button for the Wincinnati YouTube channel. And if you're listening, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review. And for the record, no, my massage therapist did not have to sign an NDA. And I told her that the glutes were off limits. It wasn't happening. I'm not like Deshaun. But other than that, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. Let's talk about this team. The Bengals will be playing them. We have had some fun with some of their fans and spaces. For me, if you talk about what some of their strengths are, I think you have to look at the wide receiver core. Obviously, that's been the headline of this offseason, them bringing in Tyreek Hill, adding it to that room with what I believe is kind of a Tyreek Hill clone with the other guy that they have over there. To me, it's a lot of speed with Jalen Waddle. Thank you, Zim. Guys that are going to be able to burn you, guys that are going to be able to move in space and create. Not guys that are going to remain healthy. So I think that that's one of the risk factors there. But when they are both on the field at the same time, I think that they're going to present some problems.
Let me ask you real quick. What do you think Tyreek Hill, what version of Tyreek Hill you think you're going to get from the Dolphins this year?
I think you'll still get Tyreek Hill. However, you're definitely going to have some chemistry issues. Like him and Tua are going to have to build chemistry, right? Like they're not going to be on the same page. I think that he'll still be a 1,000-yard receiver, right? I don't think that you'll see any huge fall off, but if you're expecting Tyreek Hill from like last year or the year before, you're not going to get that because they're going to have to build that chemistry. He's also in a new offense, so you have to take that into account. He's going to have to get comfortable there. And so for me, it wouldn't shock me to see Jalen Waddle be a little bit more productive than him just because he's already been in this situation. He's been in the offense. He's been with Tua. So I think that's where it is. But for me, it kind of starts with their wide receivers. If I'm talking about another kind of strength just on the other side of the ball, I probably would kind of look at that secondary. You talk about Xavier Howard. He's kind of an underrated corner. So I think that that's where they can kind of thrive. What about for you? What do you feel like the Dolphins' strengths are?
I feel like the Dolphins' strengths is 100% their skill positions. I know a lot of them. I do have injury concerns, I guess, just with some of the guys. When we start talking about like Raheem Mostert, guys that I really value their speed. I also worry, I guess everybody had to worry about Terran Armstead. If you're going to pay him that much money, you're always going to worry about Tua's hip. I was going to ask you this too. From a skill position standpoint, in my top 3, I would have the Dolphins. Do you say, like, I think that that's a big strength in them because I think outside of us with the Bengals, I think it's the Bengals, it's the Raiders, and then I got the Dolphins in there. As far as like, if we're just talking about it.
We're talking about skill positions as far as wide receivers, tight end, and running backs.
For sure. Because see, Mike Gesicki is probably the above average guy, but the rest of their wide receivers, I really like Cedric Wilson as a third option.
Cedric Wilson is really good. I liked him with the Cowboys.
I like him.
It wouldn't shock me if they were top 3, but I think I will probably say top 5 just to be safe because I just got to see it, right? Because Cedric Wilson, Tyreek Hill, and the running back are all in a new offense. Great players, super fast, but how do they fit into the offense? How does that new coach over there call plays with him kind of being in a similar situation to Zach? I think they do have top 3 potential, but I would probably say top 5 just to be safe, which isn't much of a difference, honestly. We're just talking about 2 other teams.
All right, and I pose that question to say this. I think the Dolphins are going to have a lot of the issues that we had from the offensive line this past season where, okay, Terran Armstead is the big money guy and everything like that. But to me, I feel like Robert Jones, I wasn't big on Liam Eichenberg, but that was a guy I potentially wanted in the draft as well, but he didn't play well his first season 11. Mm-hmm. The difference, I think, is that Tua won't be able to do what Joe Burrow did with that same type of pressure. And so you probably won't get the results that you're looking for. Like not only, and then when I think about Tyreek Hill's strength, is getting deep to different passes. Deep crossers, extending plays, improvising and stuff. And improvising is a part of Tua's game to a standpoint, but the pressure in the big time situations when we start to get into like later in the season, I expect fireworks from them at some points in the season. They might even give us a run in this game. They could potentially win the game. Who knows? But I just think that when it's all said and done, they don't have a lot of depth at offensive line. And the difference is if you don't have an elite skill, if you don't have an elite quarterback, then it always shows to me. And that was the one thing people are always going to point to the Bengals 2021 team to say, that's the team we want to be like. But it's impossible if you don't have a quarterback that's like Joe Burrow. And I just think that that's going to overshadow them the whole entire season. It's the same way I feel like, I guess, about the Steelers. They have a really good set of wide receivers, including Chase Claypool is maybe a second or third option. But, I know we're not talking Steelers, but.
Yeah, for me, I think the weakness for me is the quarterback.
The defense is good.
To me,
Flores is gone. I don't know.
To me, when you don't have a guy at the quarterback position, right? Like you still got Teddy Bridgewater. Your backup quarterback tells me how comfortable you feel about your starter. If you have a guy that has started before and could potentially start, that means that you don't feel good about your quarterback situation. Like when you look at the backup quarterback in Cincinnati, it's Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen has no chance in hell of starting for the Cincinnati Bengals, right? He's going to be hopefully on clipboard holding mode the whole season. Hopefully he would be on that for that. Like it wouldn't be expected for him to get in. If he gets in, it's like, why is he even in there? That is this situation. You said no, I would not. Okay. That is this situation with the Miami Dolphins. Like there is a probability that Tua isn't even the best guy. And when you don't know who your quarterback is, that says all you need to know about your team. Now, Tua still got to prove it, but that was one of the reasons that Brian Flores and them bumped heads. He didn't really believe in Tua, right? We saw Tua bench several different times, several different points. I'm going to go with Brian Flores on this one. Like if he felt like Tua wasn't that guy, I don't think that he's the guy. So we'll see. And they really put Tua in a position where now that he has those skill positions that you talk about, now that he has the lineman, there's no excuse. Like if he goes in and he's not doing his thing with this, they're not going to go anywhere. It's just honest. Like honestly, they're just not going to go anywhere to the playoffs, especially when you're in the division with Josh Allen and guys like that. So that's what it is for me. As far as the matchups, Xavier Howard and Chase, I think that one sticks out. Are there any that stick out to you?
I think that's what we're going to do all year is like look at corners, right? But I'm gonna tell you one thing about that. That one of my favorite young safeties, if y'all have a chance to like just watch highlights or anything, is Holland. Right. Holland is my favorite young safety like coming up in the league right now. He's instinctual, makes impact plays. Was a big part of the reason why I think their defense was legit last year. So that's a guy to watch out for. I hope we don't play this tape back and I'll be like, damn, I said that on the show. And that's
I got another one for you because like you said, we already know it's always going to be a corner. That's an easy one. How about Teron Armstead versus Hendrickson on that edge, or either one, whichever one it is, but Hendrickson would be nice because they used to play on the same team, right? They both played with the New Orleans Saints. I would enjoy watching them go up against each other because I would imagine that maybe sometimes in practice at some point that they faced off against each other. Maybe they might know each other's weaknesses or strengths, or maybe he can tell somebody like a Joseph Osai, hey, he's weak on this side, attack him there. So that's one that I'm looking forward to as well. Any other ones that you are looking forward to?
That's the main. I mean, those are the main ones. I think one of the things I would want to do is like attack, I guess, like, the linebacker matchups that I've seen, like on paper. I'm not sold on Roberts. I'm not sold on Van Ginkel.
Are you sold on Melvin Ingram, Jalen Phillips? Any of these guys in the trenches? I was told Emmanuel Ogbah I needed to be worried about. I needed to be terrified. Apparently we're going to be losing sleep over Emmanuel Ogbah. And shout out to him, but he's not Trey Hendrickson.
If there's one thing that somebody, like I have a famous tweet, I think before the Rams game where the Rams people, I mean, this tweet went viral one time where I was saying what position groups I think are better. And I went through every single position group. And I still stand by it, and it played out. The Bengals clear in every single category except offensive line and defensive line. And the Rams used their strengths at the times of the game to win. If you go back and look, I said cornerbacks, and people were like, what? Like cornerbacks, because the cornerback room. The one thing I will say about the Dolphins is I think if I would give them the edge on any matchup, I would say their secondary as of right now, Xavier Howard, Eric Rowe, Javon Holland, and Byron Jones. That's a pretty good secondary, bro.
That's a formidable one.
Like
what about
super formidable?
We talk about players, but what about Mike McDaniel versus Zach Taylor? What about that matchup? Or Lou versus him? Because I would assume that he's calling his offense, right?
I'm gonna tell you this. Somebody posed this, and actually it was a Ravens fan. It was the first time, and I commended the dude for doing this. If you were to ask me what is the one reason why the Bengals won't win the Super Bowl this upcoming year, and I know a lot of people are really high on Zach, and a lot of people are telling me like, hey, he'll progress and everything like that. I get it. But one thing that I've always said about Zach that I don't like is his feel for the game. Either you got it or you don't. And a lot of times he doesn't have it. And people could kind of run away from it because I know we're all being super optimistic or whatever right now. And the roster is good, like Super Bowl caliber. But if you were to tell me if we were going to go ahead in a time capsule right now, I'm going to say the only way they lose is because of his feel for the game at crunch moments or different spots. And it's been like that, even when they were bad. But people just didn't care because they were bad and the roster sucked. But then, and then most of the games we lost this year were turnovers. But I could point to 4 different games that I solely would say, if you're going to do that, though, you got to say, well, here's a bunch of games where Zach actually called fire. But how many games that we looked at where it's just Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase before the halftime just throwing a bomb and we got points on the board? The inconsistencies and all these different things that we're talking about are a product, I feel like, of Zach Taylor still calling plays. So if you gave me a coaching matchup, I would say Zach right now because this is a brand new head coach he's going up against. But what's his name? I always
think his name is Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel. I feel like he's a cool dude. I think the concepts and everything that he wants to run, if he's bringing all the stuff that he just came from, I just think that from an offensive play caller standpoint, believe it or not, I feel like they're not that far apart. I think from a cultural standpoint, Zach is far ahead of him because he's already established this for the last 4 years. But there are different times in games, and we've won a lot of these games. And I always will be sitting there and be like, you can't call that. Remember, we were sitting at the Super Bowl, like even the 4th down, you cannot go empty. Like that's just like there's a million plays like that. Like you cannot go empty. Even without the personnel, you cannot go empty on 4th and 1. You
cannot go empty on 4th and 1, and you cannot go empty with your stomach. So make sure you guys head to Midwest Best Barbecue. We're going to go ahead and get into a video and their commercial from one of our favorite sponsors of the show, Midwest Best Barbecue. Come and get them Uno wings. Uno wings. Who they gonna be? Them Uno wings. Uno wings. MB's got you with them Uno wings. Uno wings. They tell me that the Uno wings will make you do the gritty. The Uno wings will make you do the gritty. Shout out to them, located at 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Also, the Uno Wing is a dry rub. They do the dry rub. They do the sauces, all of those kind of flavors. So please be sure to check them out. They also have sliders if you're into barbecue, pulled pork, and stuff like that. They've got that. They've got hot dogs. They got it all. And even for the vegans, they got salads for y'all too. We've been hearing, and they've been hearing those comments. You can go by and get a salad. Go against your Arnold Palmer. It's no problem. It's all love. So please be sure to check them out. But Zim, let's get into the next announcement. Your boy Gronk, our boy Gronk, we thought that it was a possibility at one point, and I think that you still think it's a possibility. But apparently, he announced his retirement again, but left the door open. He said if there's, something that happens mid-season, he's coming back. A lot of people feel like this might be a ploy just to do some salary cap magic. What are your thoughts on the retirement? And I know that you had some thoughts on your Twitter about what could be a possibility for his return.
There's only two ways that I can see it going. Now, I will tell you this. Gronk is going to play this season. Is my sixth sense is telling me that he is going to play. But he doesn't want to go to camp and he doesn't want to sweat all that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. For what? I'm Gronk. I don't need to go to all that. All I need to do is stay in shape. What am I going to like? So that's what that's about. Like, if
get a couple WWE matches in.
Yeah, bro. Like, if you stay right now, you don't have to go to camp. You ain't got to do all that crap.
Gronkowski's the motion man. Brady's going too.
Yes, sir.
But
yeah,
I will. And if you guys are listening to this on the podcast, we're rolling some classic Gronk plays on here with the Patriots. But I will say this though: there's only two teams that he could go to. One is the Buccaneers, and the other one is the Bengals. And I know a lot of people don't think that, or they're so caught up in the past, they're not understanding what is going on right now. Like Ogunjobi is not a great example, I guess, but Ogunjobi went to the Steelers because they just paid way more money than what the Bengals could pay right now at this very time. That's a very unique scenario. Right. Any other free agent, if we're offering the same money as any other team right now, the Bengals are in that conversation every single time. The one thing that's great about the Gronk one is he said this many times without even being asked. Nobody asked him about the Bengals. He brought up Joe Burrow on 4 different occasions, 2 during the Super Bowl week and 2 another time, whatever, where he's definitively saying it over and over. If I could play for any other quarterback besides Tom Brady, is Joe Burrow. So anybody that's sitting there saying like, bro, Gronk would never sign. The average fan tells me that online, so that he would never. Times have changed, so wake up. Like whatever you're thinking about from the 90s and stuff, I'm gonna tell you these new. Like I know Gronk is from the 90s, like he's back there too, but the new free agent in the NFL is not thinking anything that you're thinking about. Like right now, wake up. Like Joe Burrow and these guys, this is where guys want to play. And Gronk has said it on record many times. So I think if Hayden Hurst gets like a boo-boo, gets a slight injury, any type of injury, and Gronk sees a open door, that's one scenario. The other scenario is the Bucs just get off to a terrible start.
Right.
Or however you say that. Those are the two scenarios. If the Bucs start off 4-0, 5-0, it's a wrap. Gronk's going to the Bucs, like period. But if any ding up to Hurst or anything like that, like Gronk is 100% coming to the Bengals. Like I know that sounds kind of crazy, but those are the only teams. Those are the only 2 teams he would play for, and he's pretty much let you know that.
I guess we're saying there's 100% chance that Gronk, when the Bengals and Bucs play, he'll be playing for one of those teams. And if you're trying to find your way down there, we have another cool service that I found on Twitter, Fans of Cincy. I'm already thinking about using them for the Bucs game, potentially that Steelers Week 1 game, which might feature Larry Ogunjobi in a rematch. So be sure to check them out. They got a lot of dope packages there. As we're seeing on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, but they've got a lot of dope packages. Me and Zim kind of talked about it. You can reserve your spots. I don't like doing a bunch of planning and all of that, coordinating. You have flights change and all of that. You got to pick your return date and all. They're doing all of that. They're going to handle all of that. So like for me, it's something that I found I feel like is going to be very efficient and work pretty well. I know I showed Zim it. He said that it was pretty dope as well. So we're planning on using this, and this is just shouting out this to Bengals fans to just have an easier way to do things. We have iPhones. We have all kinds of things, apps and things that make things easier with technology. I'm big on convenience, and they're super convenient. So other than that, we've got the Ravens coming up on Thursday. As I said, make sure that you tune in Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We will always be live on the Wincinnati YouTube channel. Also, be sure to check out the other shows. We have the Bengals post coming at you guys tomorrow. Those guys do great work over there. We had the 513. We'll have something soon for that. And Zim has something to announce about that show as well. And then we had a new Wincy. So make sure that you're tuned in. But Zim, talk to them about this announcement that you got involving the 513.
Can I talk about how I want to absolutely cook Ravens delusional fans on Thursday on that show? Like that people that don't need a history lesson or something. The people that tell us that when we killed them for all them times that they just was like, oh yeah, that was back in the day. Like that was just a couple years ago. Can I talk to them people on Thursday? Because I really want to cook them up something real special.
I'm sure everybody would love to see that. I
might tell them to come on the show, but I know that they're so emotional that they'll probably just leave us bad reviews or something weird. But hey, look, me and my boy Eric on the 513 show, we're gonna do a contest. I'm gonna put the tweet out on Wincinnati Pod or my account or something like that. But on all of our accounts, whatever. But you'll retweet it. Joe Burrow has a slide that he's now making with Nike. We're giving away a pair of the black and white ones. Super comfortable, but you don't have to enter any money or anything like that. But I just thought it was really dope. Shout out to the folks that sent me this or whatever. This is I guess one of the first ones. I don't know. But they're really dope. I think that this is a really cool shoe. Very comfortable, wear them around the house, whatever. But all you got to do is RT and like the tweet. I'm going to put it out, I think, tomorrow, and that is 6/22 with me and my boy Eric from the 513. So one winner will be announced, the black and white pair. This was the green and white pair. Super, super comfortable. But Joe Burrow has a Nike slide. That in itself is really dope.
Joe, we need those or Nike. Joe and Nike. We need those in orange and white. I need some of those in my life.
Yeah, they definitely
look at the colorways.
They got a brown. I think they got a brown one. They got a black one. They got one that I really like too. I want to get for my son. It's blue and neon green or something.
I'm not getting the brown ones, respectfully, for obvious reasons. But yeah, if y'all get that orange, black, I'm with it. I'm with it for sure. But yeah, definitely be sure to enter that contest because we just gave away 2 Cincinnati shirts. We announced those winners, so they should be receiving those pretty soon in the future. But thank you guys for rocking with the Cincinnati podcast.
Yes, sir. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzadeh, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time? Yeah. Shock the world.